So, it seems like I've solved my 40k 10th edition problems, and it's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, today we are having a little chilled update chat about my Warhammer 40k 10th edition problems. I made a video a few weeks ago regarding my issues with the current state of 10th edition. What I'll do is I'll link that video up for you just there. If you haven't seen it yet, you may be interested in watching that before you watch this one. If you have seen that video and you enjoyed it and you didn't subscribe from that video, then I'd also appreciate if you can subscribe to the channel, because I'm obviously trying to grow the channel and all of that stuff helps. That sounded really bad. Well, I did say it was a chilled chat. It is totally unscripted. So yeah, let's get on with it. Right, so yeah, I made a video with all of my problems of Warhammer 40k. I tried to make the video in a positive and negative sort of to and fro type video, talking about certain points. I'm not going to go into all of those points here, but the long and short of it is that 10th edition seems to be very much catered to the competitive side of the game, and don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy a good competitive game. I play quite regular with Richard from CM Wargames, link to his channel in the description below as well. Like I said, I really enjoy a competitive game. I recently played 6 Necron Catans. I mean, how sort of nasty can you get with a list? However, Richard enjoys that side of the hobby, and he also had a really horrible list to face against my really horrible list. And when you're both in that mindset, 10th edition works incredibly well. The Pariah Nexus missions are awesome for evening up the game, and most of the games which I play, both players tend to have a reasonable chance on the table. It's great. The terrain is all evenly sort of balanced, and doesn't matter where you are on the table, which side of the board you're on. You know, the terrain is like great for both sides of the game. You know, it's all really nice and really balanced. However, sometimes, and I know I'm not alone here, it can get a bit boring. So I've recently solved this issue, and it's basically down to one person, and that is 6+ Stevo. God, that was a bit of a ramble, but hopefully it'll be okay. Now, 6+ Stevo does have a YouTube channel. I will link it up again in the description below. I'd highly recommend you check it out. He is an orc-based channel, but he does lots of cool stuff on there, and is a really nice guy. And I've had the pleasure of playing Stevo quite a few times, but we recently played just after I made that I'm bored with 10th edition video. And what we did is we did a fun custom game. Not 10th edition Pariah Nexus rules, but our own made up special rules. Well, actually 6+ Stevo's made up special rules. Not only that, but I also played another custom game with Stevo when I played with Planet 40k and Dread Wargaming. We had a 4-way game, fun, easy, custom mission to play, and we had an awesome time. It was a great way to play, and Stevo actually has just made a video about these fun custom mission rules, and they're called the War Boss rules, obviously orc based. And I was thinking that these rules are really good for many reasons. I'm going to talk about the reasons in a second, but I was thinking of spinning this on its head as a Necron channel and doing my own Overlord rules. So some dedicated missions, mostly stolen from Stevo, but with a Necron twist to them. So let's have a quick chat about these custom rules. So these rules are designed to put some models down, play some games, roll some dice, have fun, and not have to worry too much about bookkeeping, because Well, let's face it, 10th edition, there is a lot of bookkeeping. There's a lot of rules, reading. You know, when you pick up the cards, you've got to read them and work out how you're going to achieve it and where you have to be on the table to achieve it. And that's not just something you have to do in the game, but when you're list building for those sort of custom secondary mission rules. And for me, that's one of the biggest things that these War Boss rules have given me. The freedom to make really fun, great lists, because 10th edition list building is awesome. I love the way that we no longer have like HQ units and what am I talking about? HQ, elite, heavy support, fast attack. It's just, these are the data slates, and you could take up to 3 of each. Unless it's battle line, you could take up to 6 of each. It's like really simple, and it really, really opens up to fun, fluffy lists. However, when you're building those lists, having to build all the time for, well, make sure I need something for behind enemy lines, and I need to do sabotage, so I need some small units to like sabotage pieces of terrain. You know, basically you have to think a lot when you're building the list about the missions. Now I know a lot of people like that, and actually sometimes I like that. It's very tactical. It's great, you know, being able to sort of test yourself to come up with these lists, to achieve all the mission parameters, etc. But sometimes you just want to come up with a list that you want to put on the table and play. And more often than not, when I come up with that type of list, a theme list, like in my 3000 point game, I had a themed list of vehicle models only, and I didn't have none of those small little scoring units. It didn't matter, I didn't need any of those small little scoring units because we weren't playing those secondary missions. So you can build a really fun, fluffy army. You don't have to worry about all of those like weird and wacky secondary missions. You could just put it down on the table and you can charge forward and you can play. Well, orcs can charge forwards. Necrons like to stand back generally a little bit more. But you get my drift. And the rules are designed to help thematic things happen on the table. So what are these rules? So first of all, we've got sort of primary mission rules where you still score for primary objectives from turn 2 at the end of the command phase in the normal way, just like 10th edition. However, it's a little bit more simpler. You haven't got like 100 different primary cards to choose from. Each objective is worth 3 points. You could have a variant of that where your home objective is worth 1 point to you, and then 5 points to your enemy, and all of the other ones are worth 3 points each. Or you could just have the middle objective scoring, like 5 points for each one in the middle, and your home objectives basically aren't there. So just middle objectives. So sort of 3 options. And well, the way Steve-O does it is they just choose how to do it. I was thinking for my Overlord rules that you would randomly select out of these 3 missions. I like all 3. I think they all work well. They're simple and easy to do. And I thought just having a random selection, so you just roll a D6 or a D3, and then you obviously find out which one you're playing. So I think that's great, and I'm going to stick with those 3. Now, the War Boss rules, secondary missions are a little bit different. So they're sort of ilking back to the old days, even probably before things like First Strike and Behind Enemy Lines came about. So you've got kill points. So every unit that you kill, you get a point. If you have a character joined to a unit and you kill that whole unit, including the character, that's worth 2 points. So yeah, kill points. Then you have Slay the Warlord. So if you kill your enemy's warlords, then you get a point. But of course that also counts as a kill point. So you get 2 points for doing that. And then something to make maybe a few cool things happen on the table. And it does encourage you to do cool things. I can vouch for that. If your warlord kills your enemy's warlord, either in shooting or close combat, it doesn't matter, then you get an extra point. So you get a point for killing the warlord, you get a point for killing the warlord with your warlord, and you get a point for killing a unit, 3 points for achieving that. Very simple. You don't have to think about it. It's very simple to sort of mark down the score as you're playing. There's no reading of rules. It's like easy for everyone, and more importantly, it's fun. It encourages you to sort of push forward and kill stuff and get stuck in. It encourages you to get your warlord into a position where you can kill your opponent's warlord. It's only an extra point, but it's fun. You know, you're doing fun things on the table. Now, I really like the warlord and the sort of killing a warlord with your warlord type rules. However, the kill points side of things, I personally feel is sort of a fairly advantageous thing for Necrons, because obviously Necrons are sort of more elite, more durable, more difficult to kill generally, whereas obviously orcs, you've got lots of maybe more smaller units which are generally easier to kill. There's a lot of kill points on the table. Now, Steve-O doesn't mind that, and I totally understand that. Actually, I think he likes the fact that it's a disadvantage for him, because then no one can say, well, you know, the mission's like sort of a benefit to you. So yeah, he likes the you know, the kill points. But I just I probably feel that if they're going to be overlord rules, then maybe the rules need to be more of a disadvantage to Necrons. But I'm not quite sure how to flip that on its head. So maybe I'm sort of going to ask for some advice from you guys, what you think could be really cool overlord rules to replace kill points. Now, of course, I have been thinking about this a lot, and I think I've come up with my own version of Steve-O's kill point sort of variant of the mission, but maybe a little bit more even on one side, because I do feel that if you're trying to get these rules played by maybe more competitive people, so for example, when I come to proposing playing these rules to Richard, Richard might say, yeah, I can play them, you know, no trouble. And then he'll, as a competitive player, because it's very hard as a competitive player not to think competitively, he's probably going to start thinking to himself, right, if this is kill points, then I need to make sure that I don't give up as many kill points, and maybe he'll start list building for the mission. And obviously that takes away from what this is all about. So my idea actually, again, harks back to some of the really old days. I think we're looking at 3rd edition, maybe 4th edition, I can't really remember. But basically, it's a variant of kill points, and it is a little bit more paperwork than straight 1 point for killing a unit, but I think it would even up the game. So my idea is that when you kill a unit, you get the points value of that unit as your score. So for example, if I lose some Scorpec destroyers, you know, 6 Scorpec destroyers go down, 180 points, my opponent scores 180 points. I know it sounds like a lot of points, doesn't it? You could sort of try and dumb that down, maybe sort of take the 0 off, so it's worth 18 points. But I think it's the most fairest way. And then so if I'm playing against like an orc player that has lots of small little units, and I kill, say, a unit of grots, I don't know how many points a unit of grots is, but let's just say they're, I don't know how much, let's just say they're 40 points. They're not, probably, but let's just say they are. So I only score 40 points, but then to get my, you know, my points back to the 180 points my opponent's killed, I'm going to have to sort of kill quite a few smaller units. So that wouldn't give me the advantage of, like, I've killed 5 units, I get 5 points, and my opponent would only get 1 point. You know, I'd only get the value of the unit. As I said, it's a little bit more paperwork because you have to sort of know how many points each unit is, but I think it could work quite well at evening up the game. You could potentially allocate some more kill points to each unit. So you could have like a points level, so up to 100 points unit is worth 1 kill point. and then up to 200 point unit is worth 2 kill points, 300 points is 3 kill points, but then like I said, if you've got like a 180 points unit, so I suppose that would have to be a 2 kill point unit. I don't know whether it would complicate things, and also then you might get the competitive player thinking, right, so I'm only going to take the units which, you know, give up the smallest amount of kill points. So for example, if it's like 140 point unit, you'd only be giving up 1 kill point, whereas if I take a 160 point unit, I'm going to give up 2 kill points. So I don't think that's going to work quite as well. So I think I'm liking the idea you score the amount of points that that unit's worth. But I'd love to know what you think about this. If you have any ideas at all for Overlord rules, so really simple rules that both players can play and have fun, that don't give the Necrons a huge advantage, to try and even things up, even though you're having fun and it's all simple, we want it to be fairly even, then let me know in the comments box below. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to my own video with another video with my own Necron Overlord rules, and hopefully you guys might like to try them out. In the meantime, if you would like to see the epic 4-way game with 6+ Stevo, then here is that battle report. Don't forget to subscribe to Stevo whilst you're there. Here is the video that Stevo made about the War Boss rules, and here is my battle report playlist right as my doorbell goes.